I would first of all like to say thank you to everyone that is on this call. We look forward to having an amazing time. With everyone that we have. We have an amazing lineup of speakers that are going to come and speak to us about various topics. So I'm looking forward to an amazing time on the session. Just before we proceed, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Phoebe Oluwatumishi Keshiro. I am a lawyer and a development finance expert. I currently work with the Bank of Industry in their strategy and corporate transformation unit. And it's a pleasure to be with everyone this morning. It's a pleasure to meet so many people that are on this call. I will be your MC in quotes for this event. So I'm going to be the one speaking. I'm going to be the one engaging with the rest of us. And I'm looking forward to an amazing and truly impactful session. So just before we proceed, I would first of all like to apologize, right? We were supposed to start by 10 a.m. on the dot, and we started by 10:07. We would like to apologize for that delay. It was because we were trying to get more people on the call and all of that. We respect your time. We respect the fact that you're on this call. So thank you very much. Before we proceed, I would just like everyone on the call to do a quick introduction. As I've said, I'm Phoebe Keshiro, and I'm a lawyer. So for us to introduce ourselves, the format to introduce ourselves will be our name, where we work or what we do, and our expectations from the session. As we all know, the theme for today's session is investment in non-oil exports, the agri-business value chain. So just tell us your name, tell us what you do slash where you work, and your expectations from this session. So we'll just quickly do that quickly and run around the room. I can see a dollar. Do you want to go first, sir? Okay, Mr. Developer is muted. Does anyone want to go? You can just unmute your mic and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Shegun.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Shegun Adegoke, and I'm the founder and CEO of Baay Agro Nigeria Limited. I'm very delighted to have everyone here, and I'm looking forward to a great time with everyone here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adegoke. Who wants to go next? Who wants to bell the cat? Mr. Dolapo, I mentioned your name earlier. Do you want to go next? Just tell us your name, tell us where you work or what you do, and your expectations from the session in 1 minute. Or maybe I'm calling you. Perhaps if everyone can go to the chat settings and put their full names there, your name and your surname, as opposed to just single name, so that way we can easily identify ourselves. The next person I would like to call would be Telma. Odiowe Telma. Do you mind introducing yourself? Okay. I don't know. That's if people don't want to introduce themselves. What is going on? What is going on? Mr. Dolapo, I can see you smiling. Hello, Mr. Tade. Do you want to introduce
Can you hear
yourself?
me? Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Tade.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good
My
morning.
name is Tadi Mekele. Is it clear? I can hear myself here. It's quite noisy. I don't know if I will remember.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Tade.
Okay, great. My name is Tadi Mekele. I'm the managing partner at IBBS Consulting Limited, an accredited BSc for the Bank of Industry. Morning, everybody.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Tadi. We look forward to engaging with you further in this session, and I know you're one of our speakers, so I'm very pumped to see, or rather to hear everything you have in store for us today. Mr. Ojediron, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? And we probably will not be able to go around the globe, but anyone that wants to introduce themselves, feel free to quickly do that.
All right, I'm here now.
Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Dolapo.
Hi,
The
Bella.
last word there. I work with an iStock construction company, the director. I'm on this meeting this morning to learn about opportunities for investment in agriculture. That's basically what I'm getting. Thank you so much. And I look forward to learning and getting more experience. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We'll take two more people to quickly introduce themselves in this discussion session. And I hope we're all paying attention to the different things that people are doing. You don't know, your potential investor may be on this call, your potential partner may be on this call. There are so many things that we're going to share. So two more people that want to introduce themselves, please feel free to do that. Mr. Adebayo Oluwatobi, your mic is
Hi, good morning.
muted. You want to introduce yourself? Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm Oluwatobi Adebayo.
Okay.
Yes, I'm into physics.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for introducing yourself. One last person to introduce
Hi,
yourself.
good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
My name is Abdulaziz.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for introducing.
My name is Abdulaziz. I'm an undergraduate from Baay Agro.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Hello? Okay, let's put a stop to the introduction, but please feel free to go on and introduce yourself as well. I can see that someone has introduced herself as well. Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all here on this sunny day. Gloria, it is a pleasure to meet you virtually, and I'm looking forward to everyone's engagement. So without further ado, we will open the floor for opening remarks from the convener, Mr. Segun Adegoke. Just before we proceed, I'll just very, very briefly read his profile. Mr. Segun Adegoke is the founder and chief executive officer of Baay Project Limited and the founder of Baay Agro Limited. Mr. Segun is a Harvard Business School online social entrepreneur and an advocate of rural community development, building sustainable cities via real estate, and he is a zero hunger builder. And gentlemen, please make welcome Mr. Segun Adegoke as he gives his opening remarks. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. I think everyone needs to mute their mic for us to, be able to hear each other. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name once again is Segun Adegoke. Thank you very much, Ms. Phoebe, for that brief, concise introduction. I'm very delighted to have everyone here online today. Thanks a lot for all our guest speakers. I can see that we have Barrister Nero, Mr. Tade. Also, we have Mr. Akin Alabi also on the call. Thank you very much for punctually making it to this meeting edition of our program, as well as all our attendants. Thank you very much for joining us today, and also for others that will still join us as we proceed in this first meeting edition of our Baay Agro Investors Townhall meeting with the team investment in oil export agribusiness as a value chain. Thank you for making it to this online edition. I would like to briefly highlight what we do at Baay Agro and what has geared us over the last years to date. Baay Agro is an agribusiness organization that is structured towards farmers, farm product, and farm sustainability and availability in Nigeria and across Africa. Over the last 3 years, our concentration has been in basically some of the cash crop, which is our core is into cashew production and its value chain. And we are very delighted to announce that in the last 3 years, we've actually planted, our cashew product, our cashew over 250 acres of land here across 2 states in Nigeria, Osun and Oyo State. Beyond that, we understand that we can't do this alone, and we've extended support to other small farmers across. Started with Oyo State last year, and we moved to Osun State. And what we do with this, our communal farming, as we call it, is to empower other smallholder farmers in cashew production, because we understand that non-oil products are the bedrock in agricultural production. Because most of these crops, ranging from cocoa to cashew to palm oil, actually have enormous values in them. There are a lot of services and products you can still get from them. Though it's quite a very tasking farming, or would I say production, for most of our agripreneurs. I think it's the way to go moving forward. Beyond that, beyond our communal farming, we also extended what we call a marketplace towards farmers around us. We aggregate this product from them, and we also ensure to actually assist them access markets in urban centers. Understanding over the years that most of our rural farmers lack access to competing market place, we've understood this problem, and we've made ourselves a market center for most of these rural farmers to serve as the aggregator of their rural products, majoring in cashew, like I've mentioned. We aggregate from them, and we supply locally and also outside the country. And lastly, our major outlook is to, in the next 5 years, have our own processing plants locally here in Nigeria, situated here in Nigeria. I want to appreciate all our sundry. I work with the Baay Agro industry. I've actually supported this movement since we started. And thank you very much for all our partners that are also on this call today. Thank you for supporting. And I'm looking forward to having a great time today with our speaker, and some knowledge from our story so far, and also listening to most of our colleagues in the agribusiness space that have joined us, listening to their experience so far, and also their enormous questions they've always channeled to us. We have beautiful speakers here this morning that would be attending to these questions across board, from the production on the farm to value chain addition to logistic production, manufacturing, even down to investment attractions, how to prepare our paper, how to prepare ourselves as an entrepreneur, as an agripreneur, and how to set out, how to brand ourselves as well, and how to be the best at what we do. Thank you very much, everyone, for making it here today, and I'm very happy to have everyone smile at me. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Shego Adegoke. Thank you very much for everyone putting this together. Thanks for that very brief and concise introduction about what Baay Agro, and what they do, and the broad range of services that you offer. So now we'll be introducing our first guest speaker for today, and that is Barrister Niron Williams. Barrister Niron Williams. I'm going to do a quick introduction about his bio. Barrister Niron Williams is the CEO of Venture Food. He is a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria and has been practicing since 2010. He holds a master's degree in international commercial and financial law, specializing in oil and gas and project finance. Barrister Williams has considerable experience negotiating cultural produce. He is currently undertaking his doctorate degree in energy law in several academic papers. You are very much welcome, Barrister Niron Williams. Very soon we'll be calling you Dr. Williams. Good morning, sir. You're welcome.
Good morning. I'm very flattered by that introduction, but I'm honestly a very modest person. Yes. We how do I put it? Yes, I specialize in project finance, and I have a very small agri business compared to what our key convener has in his portfolio. But we're working on a number of projects, and which will be very impactful to those that will definitely be involved in that. And also, we're trying to create a secondary market for those who will primarily be involved in agri.
Okay, so
if anyone had told me 10 years ago that I will find myself in this space, and I had placed all my earnings on that bet, I would have lost. So you can tell where life will take you from one minute to the other. Now, my main focus, well, my company, we deal in cash crop.
yeah. Before we proceed, I just want to introduce the topic to everyone on the call. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Williams will be speaking to us on starting as an agri-business entrepreneur, the values and the jungle. He has already started introducing us into what he's going to be speaking about, but just to let everyone know that that is his topic. So he'll be taking us briefly about his experience starting as an agri-business entrepreneur. Thank you very much, sir. You can proceed.
Right. Okay. So, I started leading you into. You have to forgive me. I'm also a lecturer, so I teach law, and this is how I try to demystify any concept people try to make it look as if it's one complex nonsense. No, keep it simple. So we have different models, different business models, and I looked at them in 3 ways. You have the sole proprietorship, which is when you yourself, you decide this is what I want to do. You get the money, you get the resources that you need, and you go into it. Now you have a partnership. The partnership is you and someone else putting resources together. The person could have the land, you could have the finance. Or both of you could have finance to go and get the land, but then you need people to help you work the land to get you what you both desired to achieve. Now, in that partnership, there's a risk. Just like every other human being, you, if you don't spell out in clear terms what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, that is doomed from the start. Now, you're in a partnership, you have to play to each other's strengths. Now, I could be hands-on, and my partner could be dealing with the finances. So by the time you work the finances out, the person that is hands-on will actually have to be making sure timelines are met. It's like project management. You set out timelines that by so time you expect, this land has to be plowed. or if it's virgin land, by so time, okay, I'll give you my own example. I got some acres of land 2 years ago, and I didn't even have a clue that I needed to bulldoze the land because it was virgin land. Now, after bulldozing, I needed to plow. Now, I needed to do the plowing like twice. Now, nobody told me that when I was buying the land. I thought, boom, I'll buy the land and get some people here, start grazing this land, let's plant. No. But you see, from buying to bulldozing, which is clearing, to plowing, is very expensive. And you know, with the cost of diesel going up, the people who will help you to do all that will factor in that cost of rising diesel. So you have to think, how much do I have? Can I do this alone? Now, the quantity for a sole proprietorship business, if you have all the resources you need, you can employ all the inputs you need to deliver the project for you. If you're into a partnership, you have to really work on your finances because the principal aim of every business is to make profit. So you have to look for competitors, reputable competitors, not just competitors. Because let me tell you, in a Greek business, there are so many charlatans here. There are so many thieves. And they come in different ways. Trust me, I can tell you this, for nothing. Some of them will come to you that, oh, you need workmen. We can supply you work, but we have to go so far away. This is our agency fee. This is the transportation fee for your workers. And some of them will take the money and not return. You have a project to deliver. You've just spent millions buying the land. You're not going to leave the land to waste. So the next thing you have to do is, who in the industry do you know that can help you to deliver? And those are the people. It may come a little bit expensive at first, but if you're going into agri, let me tell you something. Have it at the back of your mind that the first 2 years will be your investment years. If you make some money out of it in the first 2 years, you have to plow that money back into the business. If you think you'll be chopping the money like every Nigerian mentality, it is my business. You don't have structures in place. You're eating your tomorrow today. And that is one thing you always have to have at the back of your mind. Now, we go to the plowing. After the clearing, you now plow. You plow, and then you now have to think about what, but before you even start the business, you have to think about what you want to plant, which area of agri you want to go into. I trained in poultry farming, but I'm not in poultry farming today. I'm in cash crops. One of the reasons I'm not in poultry is because I thought about all the diseases that could happen with the birds. Coincidentally, a friend of mine who's been farming for like 18 years in poultry suffered 90% loss in his bird population last year. That's a load of money. Just due to one disease. And it cost a lot of money to rectify the whole farm. So for me, I feel cash crops is safe. But then there's still a lot of treacherous people in the industry. So you need to be careful. Now, you have to plan what crops. Depending on the size of farm and your cash, you need to plan short-term, medium-term, long-term. That's the way I have approached mine. The short term will be that will be bringing in income for the farm on a regular basis, so that the maintenance of the farm will not be from your pocket after your initial investment. Yes, if you have to do like a capital project, you can dip your hands in your pocket and bring out some more money. But in terms of the day-to-day running of the farm, you should have your short-term crops that will be bringing you regular income. Then you have your mid-term crops. Then your long-term crops. Your long-term crops should be bringing you a lot of money because you've wasted a lot of money priming those crops, maintaining those crops. Let me shock you. I bought a bottle of herbicide some time ago, maybe about 4,600. That same herbicide is now 5,000 per liter. Now, depending on the size of farm that you have, trust me, you need millions. People outside don't know the millions you would have committed into bringing the food to them. They're only looking at their pockets. That this is what I can afford. But for the farmer, you already know food security is key. That's why you need to plan that, okay, short term, medium term, long term. What will be the return on investment for me? Those are the things you need to consider, both as a sole proprietorship and as a partnership. Now, I put it in another one, limited liability. My company is a limited liability company. And the reason I have a limited liability company is to shield me. The difference between a limited liability company and every other type of business is because the owners of the business are separate from the managers of the business. So in legal terms, if they want to sue, they're suing your company. They're not suing the owners of the company. So if you want to take a loan, for example, say your farm needs 10 million naira, you need to do some defenses around your business to shield you from all these ravaging herdsmen. You go to the bank. Although I wouldn't suggest you go to the bank because honestly, banks are totally useless. Nigerian banks anyway, they are totally useless. So we have to tell ourselves the truth. Banks abroad help you to grow your business. Banks in Nigeria want to steal from your business. Where they have not sown is where they want to reap. They'll tell you to go and bring your grandfather's, you start from your grandfather's birth certificate. If your grandfather is still alive, they won't ask you for the death certificate. If he's dead, they will say, bring his death certificate where he was buried. All your financial history from your whole family. Tell me, does it make any sense if you manage to put your business together the first few years, you now want to do some improvements? You don't have quite enough. Why? Because in the beginning, you only bought 10 acres of land or 5 acres of land. Then I say, go and bring your 2 years financial history, knowing full well that the first 2 years of every business, you're pumping money into the business to bring it to a stage where that business will be making profit. So you now bring all your financials. And I say, okay, well, we're able to lend you some amount of money, but what are you bringing to the table? We can't give you 100% of your facility. We'll probably give you about 70, 80%. Bring your 20%. Now, there are charges upon charges upon charges that I call stealth charges. Let's say you're able to bring down the 20%. They'll still ask you, sorry, we need guarantors though. What is a bank there for? I'm not going to bore you in these banking regulations and all that. There's what we call the Basel. Now, ABC Insurance Company will say, let's look at Crystal Farm. I'm sure Crystal Farm will pay this money. You know what? I'll insure it. I'll insure, because I so believe in Crystal Farms. The bank, don't forget the bank has put a lot of charges in that 100,000 that the bank is now collecting, maybe at the end of the day, 140,000 from you. So you would think 10,000 shouldn't be difficult for the bank to give the insurance company. After all, if Crystal Farms defaults, they just go to the insurance company. You that you bet on Crystal Farm. Oh yeah, Crystal Farm has defaulted. Give me my money. But you see, insurance companies make a lot of money from so many people that they insure their exposures, but do not default. That's how they make their money. So for the insurance company to pay the bank for insuring the facility that Crystal Farm took, it will cost them nothing. Now, it doesn't mean Crystal Farm will not pay that money back. You can restructure that facility. Why couldn't Crystal Farm pay this money? Let us have a look at it. Oh, okay, something happened. Did the insurance company insure that risk of something happening to Crystal Farm, so that Crystal Farm, if unable to pay that facility at that time, we can restructure Crystal Farm to pay that money back at another time? Then that is where reinsurance companies come in. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the legal jargons of primary securitization, secondary securitization, or dealing with futures and derivatives. No, that one is not your own. You are a farmer. You want to make money. Leave the institutions to deal with their shit. Now,
Hello, sir.
yes. How many more minutes do I have left?
We have just 1 more minute.
Right. Okay. So now I've given you the advantage of why you have to shield your business, why you incorporate a limited business as opposed to either sole proprietorship or partnership. Now, if you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership business, they will come for you. You are not shielded. So if you have a house in Lekki or in Ikoyi, if you're unable, if Crystal Farm is not registered as a limited liability company, if it's a sole proprietorship or a partnership, they're coming for your assets in Lekki till you finish paying that facility that you took. That's why I always propose you incorporate a limited liability company as opposed to a sole proprietorship and partnership businesses. And at the last, Jara, I'll always say you should form a cooperative. When they say united we stand, divided we fall, it applies in agri. So if you are a cooperative, you have strength in numbers to negotiate facilities with financial institutions. And you can leverage on that cooperation to market your produce on time and competitive. So I hope I didn't blow a lot of big grammar, and we all could.
Okay, so thank you very, very much for this. He also mentioned the fact that in agriculture there is risk, right? And you have to determine the kind of you have to pick the space of the value chain that you want to play in. Do you want to invest in a cash crop? Do you want to invest in animal husbandry? And but thank you very much, sir, for that very insightful one. If anyone has any question, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and it will be attended to. And then you also spoke about the ease of accessing financial services. When you're speaking about the Nigerian banks, talking about how they are just out to take from you, I was a little bit on the fence in that sense, because I work with a financial institution and we actually encourage people to come and take loans, to come and take facilities. So your experience is your experience. And one interesting thing you mentioned, when you have structure, when you are incorporated, for instance, it will be easier to access financial services. When you have insurance, when you have a business plan, when you have a viable feasibility study and all of these things, it's usually easier to access financial services. So thank you very much, Barrister Leon Williams. Are there any questions? Okay, I just checked the chat and I'm still seeing the introduction. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, sir. We will be moving to the next guest speaker. That will be Mr. Akin Alabi. He will be speaking on branding and structuring your business as an agribusiness startup. Interestingly, Barrister and our first speaker already delved a little bit into structuring your business even as a startup. But Mr. Akin Alabi is an award-winning agribusiness coach, and he's the co-founder of Corporate Farmers International. So, Mr. Akin Alabi, you're welcome. Take us away with branding and how to structure our business as an agribusiness startup.
All right, thank you very much. Hope I'm audible enough, moderator.
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
All right, great. Good morning once again. My name is Aki Alabi. I'm the visionary and co-founder at Corporate Farmers International, and I'm also the author of The Rise of Digital Agriculture. It's a book that I wrote specifically for the digital space within the agricultural system. I've been in the industry for the past 20 years, so you can imagine the journey that all the things that we have seen, in the journey of agriculture way back 20 years ago, when agriculture was basically nothing. You hardly, when the other gentleman was speaking about financial institutions, talking about the limitation, the hindrances he has faced in the sector, I was just laughing here. I said, I wish he knew sometimes whereby farmers had to be spat on the back or you're stabbed or several things you face, but again, what has made us being consistent for the past 20 years is about perseverance, the belief, the passion, the goal, the objective, and a new Nigeria whereby we can begin to see younger agripreneurs that will build a structured ecosystem within the agri space, not for just any other reason, but basically for development. And that is one of the reasons that have made people like us stick so much in the industry and made us believe so much in the industry, regardless of the challenges we have faced over time. So to the topic of conversation or discussion is about branding. Well, it's beyond branding, basically. It's all about, it's in two ways. I'm going to break it in two ways. Number one, let's start from, let me pick it from the early 90s. Maybe that'll be better. Early 90s, 2000, Early 90s, if you are in the space of agriculture, agriculture is portrayed specifically as a poor man profession. So what I mean is that if you tell your father, or basically you are going to university or institutions, and you tell, and you tell your father, your parents, that you want to go study agric, the first impression is, are you okay? Sure, do you know what you want to go and do? Agriculture of all courses? That's the first impression you get. So they will even discourage you. So believe me, it was a no-no at that instances. So the challenge that was faced then was that most students that actually studied agriculture then were basically students that actually wanted to study medicine, pharmacist, physics, chemistry, doctor, medical science, but were not able to get that cut off. So they had to venture or move them to agric as a last resort. So they had no choice to just accept it, but they are not interested in it. So that is a real gap. So the challenge began during those periods where younger agripreneurs were never interested in agriculture, where we never had those who were interested in agriculture, but because they have to accept it because of the fact they have to be in school. So they are mostly called, what my friends always call the frustrated jambites. They are the ones that they will dump into the agri sector or the agri department to go and study whatever class of agriculture. And I'm sure most of the folks here that are listening, many of them have been a victim of that you wanted to study something and eventually they gave you agriculture and you had to take another mind shift to be part of the ecosystem. But again, in the early 20s, what we did, so let me now give you how my own journey started before I now go into to tell you how basically I got into agriculture. I never studied agriculture from my BSc, let me say from my ND levels to BSc to the masters. No, I never studied agriculture at all. My first certification was on insurance before I did accounting, then masters and all that. Now, what got me into agriculture was the fact that my grandfather has a cocoa farm in Ogun State. So most holidays, I do follow my grandfather to his farm. Then we leave on holidays, we move from Lagos, we go to Ogun State, we go to his farm, I just follow him most evenings. with his umbrella, So I got engaged in the whole activity. I see how he do it, how they come to buy from his farm, and it became exciting to me. So most times in December, I always want to go to my grandfather's place in Ogun State and want to be part of the whole process. That got me excited, but I never understood the business of it. But it got me excited in what he was doing. So when I finished school, basically my BSc, and a couple of things kept creeping into my mind, and I kept asking myself. Then it was hard to get a job, even till now. You have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, So I kept asking myself that, look, what sector of the economy can actually help provide employment to Nigerians or to the teeming youth? Then I did a research, and I saw that it's only agriculture that can help in providing quality employment to the large number of youth in agriculture. Reason because it had an extensive value chain, which we have not tapped yet. We are still scratching the surface. So that brought me into agriculture about 20 years ago, and fully then I started up writing a blog. That was how I started. And blogging 20 years ago, if you remember, some of us, likes of the Linda, before you have this, your Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you have blogs that were giving articles in those days. We have your Linda IKG and the other blogs then, but those are the blogs that you read what is going on at that point in time to get current articles, to get updates on what is happening, entertainment, lifestyle. So I created a blog. I developed a blog called corporatefarmers.blogspot.com. That was a blog I developed. So, but today we thank God that the blog has automatically transformed itself with the power of God, and with partners, my directors, friends, and families. The blog has been able to, my co-founder, has been able to, transform into a multi-millionaire company today, and we thank God for that. But it was a journey. It was a journey that had to entail branding, consistency, perseverance, purpose, identification, and also passion. That was the journey for us. As I said initially, I never studied agriculture. So sometimes if you have your BS in agriculture, I do envy folks. Sometimes they ask me, okay, what do you regret most in life? I said, what I regret most was that I never studied agriculture. But that doesn't mean that I'm not putting all I learned from my university days and ND days, other to use now. But because it now took me another 20 years to learn on the field, to learn the practicals, theoreticals, the strategy of the business of agriculture. That was what I did. It took me 20 years to learn the field work and to learn the other value chain, to be a master of the game. So today, if you want to reckon for those in the industry, definitely Aki Alabi names will definitely come to mind. Not because, but because we've been there for years, we've persisted, we've seen the gain, we've gone through the pain of the sector. So now, the question is, for those who want to venture into the sector, how can you specifically brand yourself? How can you specifically make yourself unique in the ecosystem? Now, today, I'm so glad that today we have a large number of agripreneurs that are excited to be in the value chain. But the problem we're facing right now is about identification. How can you separate yourself from others? I see a large number of youth want to do the same thing, within the value chain. So today, if you're looking at crop production, for example, we have large numbers of younger folks that are into horticulture. That's the vegetables, the cucumbers, the tomatoes, the habanero pepper. We have a large number of them, that are doing that. Even sometimes when I visit my friend's farm, Samson Ogbole in Abeokuta, those who are actually into he has this work and learn, you see a large number of youths there that are actually doing this particular part of business. And also we have the poultry value chain. Poultry value chain is there. We have a large number of youths also that are into the poultry value chain. But the question is, as an agripreneur, how can you specifically brand yourself out from the circle? Number one, you must be able to identify yourself. Now, what I mean is this. If you are a group of friends that want to start a particular value chain, a venture, it could be goat production. That's part of livestock, goat production. It could be poultry, It could be vegetarian. Let me pick you one by one. Let me pick livestock first. It could be fish production, aqua. It could be livestock in terms of goats, cows, sheep, other value chain within the livestock industry, pigs and all that. You need to make yourself unique. How do you do that? Now, the first thing you need to do is to take advantage of what Obasanjo has given us, the internet. The internet is the tool that will take you to places where your leg may not be able to reach. Today, sometimes, in the agri space, the technicality of the sector, as I said, it's technical, of the sector has made some people not really understand the sector. But if you can understand the technicality of the value chain you are playing in or you are venturing in, it's easier for you to express yourself. It's easier for you to now convert that expression into a money-making machine. So what do I mean? So the first thing you do, identify the value chain you want to venture into, no matter how small it is. It could be just, let me say, for example, we want to start with poultry. It could be just probably 100 birds or 200 birds. Come together, or if it's you, be sure that you have the knowledge on that particular value chain. So it means that if you want to start a venture within the business ecosystem, don't venture into it because your friend is doing it. Do it because you have an understanding of the value chain. And that is why you see that most agropreneurs over time fail in a span of 1 to 5 years. Reason because knowledge is lost. But again, with getting the knowledge, the second thing you need to do is that if you have not even put your capital in it, go to where a structured farm or a structured agribusiness enterprise that particular value chain you want to do is being done there, or it's being actually is a business there. So it's been carried out there as a business. So the likes of bigger farms like Ajala farms, a lot of farms that I can't remember the names. Farms that you feel that you can actually learn. So go there. Learn for what we call, you could do a volunteering service for 3 months, peg. 3 months peg. Learn the value chain. Once you learn the value chain, you learn two things. You learn the field work, you also learn the hands-on. So it means that you learn the theoretical part of it while you learn the physical part of it. So it makes it easier for you to now venture into it fully and be successful in it. Because by the time you start your own, the mistakes that you've learned, you will not be able to repeat when you're starting your particular business. So once you've learned with a peg of 3 months, then you can now say, okay, how much is my capital? Let's say my capital is $500,000 and you want to venture into it, either you or probably friends. But most times I do advise a combination or aggregation of folks to come together so that the risk can be minimal on you. When you have friends with the same like minds that are coming together to form a venture, it's quite better for you because you won't be able to carry out the risks on your own. So you can share the risk among yourselves. So if you come together with $500,000, first advice, don't go to the bank to do that. You can gather from family, friends, and all that. Then start off. Now you start off because you have the understanding. Now know that the three of you may not have equal understanding. There are some that will have the practical knowledge. There are some among you that will have the theoretical knowledge, and some need to have the markets and the economic value chain. So it means that once you guys are focusing on production, other folks are focusing on marketing, so that you carry the same burden together and not make profit or not, be successful at the end. So you break it into division of labor. One person is focused on production, other marketing, other distribution. So just find out yourself how that can be done. So once that is done, it's easier for you to break even your first year. Reason because number one, you've gotten the knowledge. Number two, you have what we call a distribution of work or labor within the value chain. And three, you need to have proper accountability of your enterprise and business returns. Because what kills agropreneurs is non-accountability of their products, or non-accountability of the value chain they're venturing into, or non-accountability of the business, who's responsible. Those are things that you need to note on, be very conversant with. So once that is done, you need to also, again, have a brand niche for yourself. For example, what brand name do we want to call ourselves? Is it, just find a name, a catchy name, come together, find a brand name because today, branding is so powerful within the sector that is what they will know you for. And what I keep advising the new agricultural talents or the new agripreneurs out there is that, look, you have an advantage more than your father that have been in the industry or the elders that have been in the industry before, because then there were limitations in terms of branding, there were limitations in terms of identification. They just do it because they want to do it, they do it because they don't understand the business, they do it because it's a culture for them. But now we have two things together. We have a culture and we have a business. So you must bring both together and form a stronger investment for yourself, so that even if anybody that probably wants to invest in your business can see something tangible they can place their money on and invest in. But it depends on how you're able to brand yourself and pick yourself from the shops and make it a reality for yourself. So that's the first thing you need to identify in terms of organizing yourself, in terms of branding as a person. Okay. My time is going, Abby. Okay, so just to quickly wrap it up, what I want to say to wrap it up, everything is this. Please do not go into the sector because other people are going into it. Go into the sector by identifying your passion first. When I mean passion, which value chain do you want to venture in? Not everybody will produce. Not everybody will go to the farm. Not everybody will plant. But you can identify all the value chain, pick one, and be a master of the value chain. Give yourself a 2-3 years time, then see yourself shine and become a master in that specific value chain you have picked. Thank you very much, and I hope that this conversation has helped my audience. Thank you to the organizers. My name is Aki Alabi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aki Alabi. To be honest, I have a lot of questions. It's very interesting that you talk about identifying where exactly in the value chain that you want to create. So, quick story. So, my mom is a farmer among several other things, and one of the things she does is she sells dairy. She processes dairy. So, at some point, this whole thing was something that I had to tell her. I told her, Mommy, you have to identify. You have a farm. You have acres of land. Are you planting the cassava? Are you processing the cassava into dairy? Are you packaging and marketing to people to sell? Are you exporting? And we needed to have all this conversation because you cannot play in every sector of the value chain. You will just end up stressing yourself and realizing this is not profitable. So there's a very, very crucial need to identify where exactly you need to play in the value chain. Then there was also something else that you mentioned. I had a question for you. Then that before you ventured into agriculture, like did a research and you found out that agriculture is the sector that can, that can really create employment. I have a question for you, right? Currently in Nigeria, agriculture is the sector that employs the maximum number of people. However, we haven't seen a ripple effect in terms of economic growth, in terms of actual economic development. So what would you say is the problem? Agriculture currently employs, the largest percentage of people currently. However, this is not translatable to economic growth and the kind of economic development that we need to see. So what would you say is, what would you say is the missing gap? What do we need to start doing differently?
Okay, so this is it. You see, we're still facing an issue of what I call perception of the industry. So it means that most youths today still have that perception and mentality that there is no profits or there is no business-oriented venture within the ecosystem. But it's not their fault again. A simple instance is this. You see, when an agric student finished from university after spending 5 years, don't be shocked that student will come back to Lagos and start selling perfumes, start selling clothes, start selling some other things. So there's a deviation totally from what he has studied. And it's not his or her fault. It's because there is no value chain that can accommodate him strong enough. A typical example is this. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the fintech industry. You know, the likes of the Paga, the likes of the Flutterwave, InterSwitch, and that. That is a big industry. And they've been able to get there because fintech has been able to create what we call systematic hubs. So fintech, so most times within Lagos, you have several hubs that provide solutions, you know, to challenges around the financial ecosystem. So it means that you see all these Flutterwaves and the likes were birthed via a financial hub. So a group of minds came together, identify a problem within the financial ecosystem, and provide a solution. And those solutions transformed into a company. And now today they are multinational, and you know their work base is in billions of dollars. The same thing that we preach can also be applied to the agro ecosystem. So what I mean is this, is that type of private investors who are interested in the ecosystem, develop simple hubs that can identify what are the challenges within the agri space. If it's finance, okay, let's bring these minds together. What can we create that provide solutions for farmers within the financial sector? If it's insurance, bring these minds together via an hub. So these minds will think and create, because you can't learn everything from the four walls of your school. You need to go to a reserved place, learn via a hub, create a solution. And the solution is what an investor will see and buy into. These are what they saw in likes of Flutterwaves, InterSwitch, MasterCard, Remita, and the likes, before they have investment that will buy into that. And today they've transformed itself into a multinational company. The same thing can be applied to the agri sector. And that is why we are not making so much success within the sector. Reason because we have not created that center point whereby minds, like minds, can aggregate together, think and provide solution that will help grow the sector. That is just the challenge we're facing. And if that can be tackled with much more private sector players, definitely we'll be far, far ahead. That is what is happening in Canada. Canada today has the biggest in terms of agri-tech hubs. You know, different solutions today within agri-tech is found in Canada. Same thing as UK, as Israel. That is what they've done. Identify what the problem is, bring these minds together, and boom, investor comes. So that's why you see them getting a lot of funds, you know, coming into the agri sector. Microsoft can fund agriculture, but they need to find a solution. There's a problem they must tackle before you can have Microsoft, you know, come into it, have likes of MasterCard come into it, have likes of other international, you know, donor agencies. But they need to provide a center point solution to solve a particular problem. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Can I add something to that? Earlier,
Yes,
when I talked about risks involved in every business venture, one of the major risks in Nigeria in terms of agri is terrorism, that you call banditry, that you call herdsman farmers clashes. If that's a very high risk in conducting a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That is a major threat. If you are not able to deal with that big issue, you will never find investors. If investors come, don't forget the aim of every business is to make profit. And I alluded to risk analysis earlier on about the insurance. What they would want back for their risk is a very high return. Now the question is this: can your economy absorb that? The investors in this agro business, do they have the capacity to deliver such that the potential consumers will consume in order to pay back these investors with this high interest they are expecting? That's one. Two, I said earlier on about people who employ labor for the business, that there are so many treacherous people in that small ecosystem. That small ecosystem within the agri this thing, that they will go and they say, oh, I can get you 200 workers to come and do your 100-acre farm. It's a bloody lie. Give them money, they're out. Now, for someone who's invested a lot in buying not only the land, in clearing the land, now waiting for the workers, and someone has just eloped with like 200,000 just for logistics for the people, or even agency. That is my agency fee. You have not talked about logistics to bring in these people. Because what you also find out is that you don't have Nigerians who are ready to work. I can tell you my own history. I have to bring people. If I give them an opportunity to say, for example, plow, they won't do it. They may start today, take the money, and they say, oh, my tractor broke down, and they disappear. Now, you can't go and start fighting them, because guess what? You have to think about the risk that will bring to your own employees on your farm. Because most of these farms are in villages, they will harm them. You owe a duty of care to your employees. So these are some of the things you have to think about as a businessman. Can you afford that? So if I give them one opportunity, they mess up, I go outside, go and bring them in, come and do the job and go. But that puts in a lot of pressure on the promoters of the business. And they have to recover that money. Where the money from consumers. Is it the person collecting 30K as a minimum wage every month that has 3 children that can afford to pay you what you think? I gave an example earlier on of how much the difference in a matter of weeks of 1 liter of herbicide is. There are some herbicides that are 9,000, 10,000 naira per liter. And we're talking about everyday food. Gary, that used to be what you used to, this thing. Do you know how much you buy the stem for cassava? Not to talk of herbicides for it, not to talk of the other inputs, not to talk of harvesting, not to talk of processing, before it finally comes out. And the entrepreneur that has invested his money, time, resources, will think about something. Can you, the common man, afford it? Even in Europe, in America, the foods that they produce, when inflation sets in, people on the average wage will have to decide, do I buy food or do I pay my utility bills? In terms of our financial institutions are not even helping as such. They give the money to the big people. That's why I mentioned earlier, we deal with cooperatives. That if you form cooperatives, you can share resources and then make it work for you. I know Phoebe is very, because I keep hitting these financial institutions, but it's not only me. The follow-up speaker mentioned it again. Maybe they now need to work on their model. That how we actually have a bad reputation. How can we redeem ourselves?
Interesting one. Thank you very much for your insightful contributions to that question. Just before we proceed, I was informed that someone very, very, very important just joined the call. His name is Mr. Saeed Oshi, and he's a partner of Baay Agro, and we just needed to acknowledge and recognize him as he joined the call. Mr. Saeed Oshi is the CEO of Gringos Limited, He's a beneficiary of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, and he's into cashew and cassava value chain across the north and south of Nigeria. So, Mr. Said Oshin, you are very much welcome to this meeting. We appreciate your time on the call. I checked the. Hello, Mr. Said.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much. It's a great honor being here. I really appreciate that, and it's quite interesting what the honorable speakers, have been saying. Just what the last speakers just mentioned. Very interesting that's the reality of agriculture. But to complement it all, the CEO of corporate farmers has said that if you don't have passion and you are not consistent in agriculture, I'm telling you, with the risk involved, you might just go off. But you need that passion. And one thing I would just say is that, I just read a post this morning, and they said technology. We can't. Technology it enables or makes things get better, but somebody has to be on the farm. Somebody will have to harvest. Even the machine you are going to get, somebody has to ride it. Even if it's driverless machine, somebody will have to control it. So you need human, but we need to know that agriculture is essential. It is an essential duty. It's a noble work, and it is something that we all have to think innovative. We have to collaborate because the value chain is massive. The corporate farmer said it would not scratch the surface of agriculture in Nigeria and Africa. We are just coming. Look at what happened with the supply chain of being dependent on wheat. It's not as if we cannot grow wheat here, but we are just focused on some other things. So imagine we have one country in Africa that can supply the whole of Africa wheat. If Russia and Ukraine is the one supplying the whole of Africa, 54 African countries. You can imagine. So, and we can do it. Nigeria just some years back was the largest producer of rice because we stopped the importation of rice from China. Today, Ethiopia also is now focusing on wheat. So there's so much we can do in terms of the value chain. It's massive, from farming to the supply, to the processing, and also to logistics. That value chain is massive. It's very massive. There's a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity, job creation that can be created in agriculture. And also, before I drop, is that agriculture also, we need to also start looking at the waste, the farm waste. There's value addition in farm waste. Just recently, the feed, because of this distortion and the production of feed meal.
Hello, Mr. Said. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, you can hear you.
Oh, it appears that we lost Mr. Said. Anyway, when you have people that are all have into agriculture and they don't just talk about agriculture, they don't just write articles about agriculture. And listening to Mr. Said very briefly, I was going to say, Shegun, that maybe the next one you are going to organize, you invite Mr. Said as a speaker because he has plenty things to say. But anyway, thank you very, very much, sir. So we have two people that have questions. Daniel Emmanuel said he has a question. Daniel, if you don't mind, you can unmute your mic to ask your questions. You signified interest first before Abosed de Ario. So Daniel Emmanuel,
right, thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Right? Yes, please, you can.
All right. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Shegun Adegoke for putting this together. I sincerely do appreciate this that he is doing through Baay Agro and the other firms as well. So my question is, so recently I'm having a nudge for getting into agribusiness. So, but then I have this question for the two. What is it that, what are the 5 things they can counsel someone who is a newbie, who really does not know so much about agri and wants to venture into supply chain aspect of not a cash crop now, but something edible, say tomatoes? I don't know if you get that question. I don't know if.
Can you come again? Someone wants to go into the value chain for tomatoes, okay, right?
Exactly. So for a newbie who really does not do so much agriculture, but wants to get into agribusiness, and wants to start with the supply chain aspect of tomato, what are those 5 things, like, from their wealth of experience, actually, advise such a person?
Okay. The floor is open to for that question, Mr. Akialabi.
All right. Should I quickly answer his question?
Yes, please. Please answer.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. So what I would advise is simple. Since you're a newbie, and what I always tell people is this: the agriculture we know is different from the agriculture, or what we call the agribusiness that we are doing now. First of all, please, sir, go and get knowledge. No matter the amount you have, even if you have 1 billion naira, go and get knowledge. The knowledge will help you. Is it get knowledge? Now, knowledge will help you overcome so many things, challenges in the sector. Because you see, when my Oga was speaking earlier, he's speaking out of pain in terms of what his farmers, probably on the field, or the contractors are doing to him. My own, for example, I spent 15 years of my life on the field. If you see me on the field, when I was on the field, bros, you go know, say I did field. There is no way in this country that we have not traveled to except for Jalingo. I can say with my full chest. If you know my history very well, you can Google it. Akinwale Alabi of Corporate Farmers International. There is no state that we have not traveled to in this country on this same agriculture. Is it Kebbi? Is it Sokoto? Is it Niger? Is it, name it, except for Jalingo that I have not gone to. But over time, I was able to acquire knowledge, as in real knowledge. So for newbies like you, I would say get knowledge. What I mean get knowledge is this, 2 things. Now, you can either get knowledge via the internet, read about it, or we have a dedicated agri e-learning platform called CFI e-learning. Yeah, we have that's mine on my team. So we have an e-learning platform for those who want to get knowledge about. So professional knowledge, we have it online. So you can get knowledge. Then after getting knowledge, and moreover, what you want to venture into is simple. It's horticulture. It's what it has a daily market. So look for an horticulture garden or a farm. They are numerous everywhere. You could visit Samson's Ogboli's farm in Abeokuta, do one of his work and learn few weeks, get knowledge from that. I'm sure most of us will know him very well. Get knowledge from that. Or visit BIC farms. That's what they do. Bring out this horticulture, cucumber, habanero, knowledge. So know how it's being done. Know the right quantity of seed you require, the soil texture, the water, humidity, temperature. These are things you need knowledge on, so that you don't put your money into something you don't understand. That's the second one. Then the third one is this. When you have gotten that knowledge, go and look for a small land first. It could be the back of your house. It could be a sack. You don't have to look for a sack. You could look for small space. Just look for a small space that you know that you have access to. Begin to experiment on that. Begin to experiment on that with the required number of seeds. Then check out your potential as Daniel. Okay, let me test, because what do I do is just a basic short-term crop. 3 months, 4 months, you are done. You get to harvest. Experiment. Once you're done with that, you now have to scorecard yourself and say, how have I done with these little experiments? You can call somebody like an agronomist to check what you've done. Once that is done, it gives you the bolder mind to now expand further. You say, okay, I'm successful in maybe 1 plot or half a plot. Let me now start looking for 6 plots. But again, once you've done that, know that you need to start looking for where your market is. Where are the markets around my area? So that even before I start harvesting, I can say, yeah, Kodirat, I'm planting pepper. Once I harvest, you buy from me, I'm going to supply you. They'll be glad too. Lagos eats vegetables every day. Lagos eats all these things every day. So you get your market on a daily basis. So it's as simple as that. So it's a systematic approach, but you must understand it. Don't go and put your money into where you do not understand. That's what I advise people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I add to that, sir? Okay, so I think personally, the feasibility studies I've done personally is, so I've tried putting together a, what do you call it, total addressable market, like a market per se. And then, like I said, I just wanted to come in as a supply, in one of those supply chains where I have my customers and then I have those who are producing, and then just to be a middleman between them. That's what so I've started out. I think I was able to meet some non-people, some Hausa men around where I stay who import tomato. And then I'm currently trying to market women whom I have relationship with. Like, of course, this kind of person who is likable, quote unquote. So I want to leverage on that to see how I can provide them with those things instead of them going so far to go get them and all of that. So that's just what I've done so far, actually. But thank you so much with this. I think I'll compare my and know what is next for me. So thank you so much, sir.
Hey, thank you very much for the question. Thank you very much for the answers. Just a quick announcement, right? Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box and tell us what you do, etc. If you just joined the call. Then I also have another announcement for agricultural entrepreneurs or people that have maybe an idea, a business, a proposition. One other thing that we're seeking to achieve with this meeting is for people to share their ideas, their business ideas, and even possibly get partners, in this call. So please, let's be very open about networking, even on the group chat and all of that. So we'll take a quick break for 5 minutes. We'll play an advert of Baay Agro and our product, and after the break, we will introduce our next guest speaker, and then we will do a general Q&A session. So everyone that still has a question, please stay tuned, and we'll answer all those questions after Mr. Tade speaks, after the announcement. So technical team, thanks.
Hi, my name is Shegun Adegoke, CEO and Managing Director of Baay Agro. I'm excited to announce our new agro investment product packages to the public today, CashVest and PorkVest. As the name implies, CashVest and PorkVest are low-risk investment in our cashew and pork value chain. These value chains start with farm ownership to investing, processing, distribution, and product export. Our intent is to have you join us in the global food security campaign and rural world development through your investments in Baay Agro. We can't wait to have you partner with us on this exciting journey. Baay Agro, build wealth, live free.
Okay, thank you very, very much. That was the brief advert that we have about Baay Agro. Please stay tuned. We also have a section of this call where we'll discuss more about what Baay Agro has to offer. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next guest speaker. His name is Mr. Tade Mofoluwasho. Mr. Tade Mofoluwasho is an accredited business development service provider for the Bank of Industry, and he's an MSME consultant. He will be speaking to us on preparing to raise funds, what an entrepreneur should prepare. So, Mr. Chade, you are very much welcome. We look forward to gleaning from your wealth of wisdom in SME advisory. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. Morning, everybody. Am I audible enough? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we
Can you
can.
guys? Okay, great. Thank you very much. My name is Adil Asho.
Introducing in the chat box section.
Produced to be an accredited consultant. And within a very short amount of time, talking was really about what issues that we have facing on the top finances outside from development finance institution, for example, or private investors as well. So let's get started. Barista mentioned structure earlier. I remember that I was very particular about having a very well structured business. Structure starts from putting yourself together. Like he mentioned the different types of registration, mentioned the limited liability company and the sole proprietorship. It's important before you get started to know where you stand. Are you in the business? Or do you have partners that you want to work with? It's very, very important to know where you stand, and that will go a long way to showing you where you are going. And he also mentioned too that, and I'll also bring them. A message that said my audio, you can't hear me. Prisco, can you hear me now? You left the message.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm hearing you.
If anyone can hear him, please check your internet connection. Perhaps that's not responsible for that. But yes, we can hear you, Mr. Tade.
All right, thank you very much. I'll go on. So, what investors would like to look at basically your value proposition. By value proposition, means what exactly are you doing? What's your business model? What's the purpose of the business? Are you just in the business because Baay Agro just showed us a very beautiful advert and you feel, okay, I'd like to do something like this? Or are you into it because you have a specific target that you are looking at? So your value proposition will entail everything that you do, your nature of the business, the market, access to raw materials, the target market as well, including your cash operating cycle. These are the things we have to look at. Your cash flow, your value proposition basically. And also we'll be looking at your competence. Are you a new, like Mr. I think it was a newbie, the individual that had the question about going into tomato business. If you are going to be looking for funds for that kind of business, for example, you might need you to go back, sit down, learn the process, get your hands on to it. That way you then going forward might help you to do better in the business. So this some of the things we look at. We also want to look at the security arrangement.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interject, but it appears that I get what they're saying now. We can hear you, but we can't really pick out your words. It's a little bit foggy and it sounds distant. I really don't know. Maybe you can increase your volume, or perhaps it's your AirPods or something. Thank you, sir.
Very sorry about that. Is it any better now?
Yeah, better.
Yes, a little bit better.
A little bit better. I'm sorry. Probably my network. Okay, can I go on?
Yes, you can go on.
Yes, you can go on.
Cool. All right, thank you. So I was saying, would be looking at your wealth of experience in business, your competence, how are you able to manage funds if funds is granted of you? Are you just going to do like most Nigerians to get the money, go back and sit down, buy a brand new car, marry a couple of new wives and tell the world that you have arrived? Or are you going to get great pricing in business and ensure that you're going to make money back from what has been because, for example, the EOI now, it's not a grant, it's a loan. So you're expected to make money top of the facility that you are given and expected to pay something in return. So a lot of due diligence will be put into the credit appraisal system to know that this person is truly credit worthy. And there's also going to be a bit of background check on you, your credit history. Are you owing the bank? Are you owing somebody? And this lot will form the basis for granting you credit. I'm going to talk about security arrangements. I remember Barista also said earlier that banks will want you to ask for your granddad's grade, your great grandfather's house, and all that. In most cases, with the BOI, for example, security arrangement isn't something really serious. There are different types of products for different types of businesses, and the different products have their own peculiar security arrangements. You can get as in some cases, you can get as much as 10 million naira with just individual guarantors backing you. You can also, as the case may be, need some extra security arrangements. Your commercial bank can decide to write a letter and say, okay, you know this guy very well. We've been in the business for a while and he's doing well. We are willing to back him or her in the purpose of the business. So this some of the security arrangement as the case may be. And like I also mentioned, your kind of business also determines what we'll be looking at for security. So it's not a one-cap fit for everybody. There are peculiarities and there are also differences based on the nature of the business and every other thing you do. So I'm also going to talk about the corporate competence. Why it may seem like it's difficult to get credit from financial institutions because a lot of business owners do not have the requisite knowledge in terms of corporate competence. For example, if you are registered as an enterprise, the requirements expected of you will be very different from somebody that's registered as a limited liability company. As an enterprise, you will be assessed as a little business owner. So the demand will be a little more flexible compared to someone that owns a limited liability company. So for limited liability company, you might be have to as proposed by the law. I guess we've all heard about the new corporate allied matters act. I was just signed into law last year. So these things determine some of the requirements. You're expected to pay tax to government, you're expected to file annual returns, you are expected to have a periodic audited account annually in most cases. So some of these things are the things that most businesses do not understand, that they do not have them in place when they want to go for financing. That most times they are met with a brick wall when they try to get funds from people. So these are the little things that make people say, oh, okay, they asked me for my father's death, they asked me for my grandfather's grave and all that. That's not always the case. So these are many other things that we will be looking at. Because I do not want to waste our time, I'll probably just stop here and I'll like that you send questions so I can address them further. Because as the case may be, as I said earlier, Mr. Daniel's case was very different from Mr. Akinwale's case. So I just did a little narration of the things we need to have a little idea. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Tade. So for those of us that are not aware, let me just repeat it. Mr. Tade is an accredited business development service provider for the Bank of Industry. And essentially, it means that for anyone that is on this call, if you need to get facilities from the Bank of Industry, right, and you need someone to help you package your application, to package a, not an award-winning application, but an application that will get you in the door, to circumvent all the issues that ordinary SMEs will have. Mr. Tade is the person to go to. So thank you very much for your insights, on how to access finance, even as an entrepreneur. There are some questions in the group chat. I don't know if anyone has any question for Mr. Tade, but we had some previous questions we wanted to take before, but I'll just read some comments here. Mr. Daniel Emmanuel said periodic auditing of accounts. That is great. And so, personally, one key takeaway from me is putting together everything everyone on this call has said. Earlier today we spoke about the importance of structure. Many businesses don't have structure, and that is why SMEs, that is, that is why small scale enterprises cannot even transition into a large enterprise because they keep doing business as normal. So you say a company, or like let's say a bank for instance, they don't want to give you money. But as a company, CAC registration, you've not done that. Have you paid your taxes? You've not done that. Do you have audited account statements? You don't have that. And then we say that financial institutions don't want to give us loan. So putting everything together, structure is important, and putting your documents, putting everything you need to, that's very, very important for potential investors in agri. So, do we have any questions? Now would be the time to ask the questions.
Right. I think the people in this financial industry, they'll have me written on their front door when you see this man coming. Tell him we have closed. As you know, I'm a finance lawyer, and I actually lecture abroad, and I also have a consultancy abroad, and apart from my law firm in Nigeria. So some of these things that we try to import, those who know about the financial industry and all that regulation, international regulation, would understand, would have understood when I used the word the Basel Convention. But like I said, we won't go into the nitty-gritty of that. That's all legalese and financial this thing that we'll be talking about. And we don't want to get people more lost than they are already. However, two people already alluded to the fact that the banking industry in Nigeria makes things very difficult for entrepreneurs to consolidate on their businesses and grow their businesses. It's not a fallacy. It's the reality, and it's also the reality that you channel most of your funds to all these big established companies. I'll give you an example. I know you're shaking your head, but against the competition law, you have in poultry farming, you only have 3 companies that do parent chicks. That's anti-competition. In fertilizer production, you only have 2 major producers of fertilizer in Nigeria, EUA and Dangote. That's against competition law. If these people set the prices of these things, the truth, you cannot grow the industry when you have such constrictions on things, on input. What Adesina did when he was minister was he demystified all these things. He made, and that's where fintech played a very key role, that you could actually order your fertilizer. That stopped in 2015 when this government came into place. Now fertilizer has gone out of reach. And these are very key if you want food security. What is the size of Ukraine? Do you know that Africa is bigger than 3 continents put together? The whole of United Kingdom is less than the size of Ibadan and Osun State. and look at what they produce. Let's not see. I was at a party last year. Some of my friends, some of the guests there were for work with Shell, and they were trying to what's it called? Defend Shell's role in oil and gas production here. I'm not from Nigeria, but I'm an expert in the industry. I've attended international conferences and I have dealt with them there. If we see something that is bad, let us correct it. If you are putting hurdles in the way that should promote the businesses that SMEs can grow, yes, you're talking about structures. You will teach SMEs structure for free. See, you teach someone how to feed, how to catch their food, how to create their food. It's better than you feeding them. Teach them how to create. Let me shock you. Most of these people in the abroad, they did not go to school. Most of these farmers, they did not go to school. They are not educated. That's the truth. But you see how their financial institutions prepare them. Do these courses for free. Get experts to help them. If you put 1 naira on every 100 naira in returns, you'll be better for it. Number one, food security will be there. Number two, you can plan against your future returns because you know you have already laid the groundwork and you are expecting the returns. Like I said, we are not going to go into all these derivatives, all these futures. We are not doing that. That's not my job. But let us put those structures in place. Add fintech. Someone was talking about logistics earlier on. Do you know how difficult it is to move your distance from from your farm to the market? Some of those roads are not tarred. How can you expect a small farmer holding just 1 acre of land to now move those things to the market? Do you know the cost to him? You can never encourage agriculture if you are not doing that. Now you're saying they should do CAC, they should do AABA. The person that is not educated, where is he going to get the money to pay the lawyer? So the vice president created an office for ease of business. The person who is heading it, I know her. But see, they have made it more complex, more complicated. And if government is not investing in the people, you cannot get returns. And that's the truth. All these governments abroad, they invest in their sectors. Broadband. On my farm, you cannot get reception. I volunteered half a plot. Come and put your mask. It's a lie. They won't come. But think about it. Put a mask there. Connectivity alone. That mobile phone, that star 2223 thing. SS Kilemanpe, SSP, Kilemanpe, the
USSD.
If you put to order your fertilizer, you don't need to leave the farm. They know where you are. They will bring it to you. The telecom would have taken maybe 10 kobo or 10 naira from that is. Telecom has made. The government is going to take a tax on the 10 naira. Abi? The bank that is financing the fintech company that is providing the code is already taking 10 naira from the district. The company that has this is making money from the 10 naira paid. By the time the produce is out, you've made money back profit. Government healthily pay the taxes. Although they are still going to steal the tax that you pay.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Because
Literally what I was about to say, you are very, very, very passionate about the very passionate about the issues. Thank you very, very much, sir. One thing is very, very clear. One thing is very, very clear. There is work to do, right? And there is need for all the stakeholders, right, in the entire value chain, in the entire process to play a role. So both from the aspect of financing, from the banks and for other financial services and institutions, from the aspect of government as a key stakeholder to create an enabling environment for it, every player, every stakeholder, private sector, public sector, we have work to do to develop the agribusiness value chain and cause that kind of change and transformation that we need to see. So thank you very, very much, sir. We have a number, I think we have some questions in the group chat. Ojo Emmanuel said he has a question. But just before, please just stay on. We will answer your question. What I'm thinking is at the end of the whole thing, we'll have a general Q&A session in which everyone gets to ask the question. So please hold that question and let's quickly proceed. I would like to call on Mr. Shegun to quickly do an overview on Baay Agro investment, their services. I have introduced him earlier, but I'm going to introduce him again. Mr. Shegun is the founder, Chief Executive Officer of Baay Project Limited, and he's the founder of Baay Agro Limited. Mr. Shegun is a Harvard Business School online social entrepreneur, an engineer, and a farmer. He's an advocate of rural community development and the building of sustainable cities. He's passionate about the SDG goal, zero hunger. So thank you very much, Mr. Shegun. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ms. Phoebe. And that's a great job we've been doing since we started this online webinar. Thank you for the brilliant work you've been doing. I would want to, first of all, I would say that I appreciate the guest speakers so far, Barrister Williams and Mr. Akin Alabi and Mr. Tadi. Thank you. Also, my partner, my friend, my brother, Mr. Said Oshin. Thank you for your contribution and for enlightening all of our viewers and people that have joined us today on the nitty-gritty of agribusiness value chain and how they should start, the structure, the difficulties in the business and how passionate they should be moving forward and how big the market and the industry is. I always tell people that the industry is quite large, it's big, and it's very important, a bedrock to human existence, and it is very important for all of us to find a way around it. It's one of the what I call the problem of the world today. There's inflation here and there. There's war in Russia and Ukraine, but that has actually held numbers of countries to ransom over the last month. And I think it's high time for all of us to start looking into contributing our quota across board, across the value chain, from the farm to the processing, to the logistics, to the supply chain, to the exports, and all of the value chain that are actually attributed to agribusiness. So straight to it, I will talk on some of our work at Baay Agro here. So, and I've mentioned them before now, and I won't take most of our time. We are open to sustainable partnership across the country, and we narrow our work to cashew plantation. Like Mr. Alabi said, it's very important for you to be able to identify, your market, what you want to go into, the supply chain you are trying to go into, identify it, and see how we can acquire knowledge in it. This is what we've acquired knowledge in. We have partners that have actually had over 10, 20 years experience in this particular sector, and we are very happy to have recorded substantial progress in the last 3 years that we started this. Also, as part of our work to have a cycle agricultural practice, because waste is something we don't want to encourage in agribusinesses. We also have our degree farm where we have most of the waste being used as manure on our cashew plantation. So we do both cashew production, and on these two production, we have our investment options that are always available for people to, come on board. We have investments in terms of partnership, we have in terms of equity, and we have in terms of money on money, what you call return on investment. I tell people that going to financial institutions is quite difficult in agribusiness space, though they've been able to identify that you can structure your business in such to be able to avail yourself such opportunity. Nevertheless, it is always advisable, like Mr. Alabi quoted earlier, to bootstrap when you're starting after you've acquired knowledge. It is very important to seek funds from friends and family, mentors, support, individuals, cooperative organizations, and possibly some people that have the nerves, they can also do crowdfunding. And you have to know your numbers very well when you're crowdfunding. You have to be sure of your numbers, and you have to be very sure of what you can give back to the people, because it's the easy way to make money, and it's also the hard way to, it's a very easy way to be on the bad side of the people. I will also extend that we, over the last years, partnered across Oyo State, Osun State, and outside the country. We have our partners in Kenya, we have in Mozambique, and most of these people we've been able to partner on basically cashew production with them, and we are looking forward to maxing out 500 acres of land by the end of by Q4 2022 across these demographics I've just mentioned, locally in Nigeria and outside of the country. And like I've just mentioned, I think I want to reiterate that our investment opportunities are available across the year. You could reach out to us at any time if you are looking at doing anything if you're looking at investing in the cashew space or the pork space. Like I said, it could be partnership based, it could be equity based, and it could be money on money based. I also want to thank the Bank of Industry, though it seems like Barrister Williams have quite bad experience with our commercial banks locally here, but I would like to extend some serious appreciation to Mr. Tidy and his colleagues at the Bank of Industry. The point is that investment attraction is a difficult journey for entrepreneurs, even outside of agribusiness. But I think it's important for all of us to structure our business appropriately, brand, seek appropriate knowledge, know when to go to the farm, know when to come into value addition, know when to access the market, and get appropriate hands to partner with you as we move further. I was asked that how much will you collect from Bank of Industry? Well, we are open to collect billions of naira from the Bank of Industry moving forward. So also, I want to also mention to listeners today that moving forward, Baay Agro is open to sustainable partnership in any field you are into, where we personally have narrowed our own work to cashew and pork production. We make markets available for smallholder farmers. Nevertheless, we're open to supporting people across board. We have a cooperative we are working on, and we have to launch it very soon. Some of the people that are here today are, they are aware of what we call African Farmers Network, and what we are actually working on is to have smallholder farmers, agripreneurs like us that are starting up. We are looking at bringing all of us together to have a platform to be able to access investments, funds, knowledge needed, and also big farms like the Niji farms and the Ajala farms, as mentioned by Mr. Alabi. So feel free to follow us on all our social media platforms or any of our investments. Feel free to write us in our emails, send emails to us at admindesk@bayagro.com, posing what you want to do. I think finally the chat box should have the email there, so you can write us. We are going to look through all of this, and we are going to see how we can work together to make this a possibility for all of us. So that's pretty much everything from mine. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining us today.
Very much, Mr. Shegun Adegoke, for that awesome presentation about Baay Agro and everything that is available. I would also like to say well done for the amazing work, and as a stakeholder, I'm trying to get the appropriate terminology. Yeah. We are hoping and praying that your business continues to grow in leaps and bounds by God's grace. So now we're going to open the floor for questions, all the various contributions that people wanted to make. I can see that Mr. Ojo Emmanuel said he had the question. Mr. Taddy also wanted to add to the yes, Mr. Taddy had a contribution as well. So the floor is open. We can take Mr. Ojo so that when Mr. Taddy wants to answer, he can probably contribute as well. Mr. Ojo Emmanuel, you can stay on the call, please ask your question.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning, yes, we can hear you.
Good morning. All right, thank you. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm a core member serving in Osun State. I work currently as an agri extension officer for Notori Chemical Industries with their plant at One River State, where I'm an extension officer, and currently I work with an average of 13 to 14 local governments. We call them village promoters, who have more number of farmers under them, where we relate in and educate them on best farmer practices. And so I have 3 points to talk about, which is what Barrister Williams was talking about the problems of farmers not being able to access funds from financial institutions. I would like to say that it is true, and for someone like me who is on the field interacting with farmers, most of them, the problems, they would always say that money is the problem of farmers. What farmers need is money. They will tell me that, okay, they went to a bank and they said they will have to do this and this and this and this. Apart from the fact that they should create a system where maybe private institutions or the government can create a system that favors these farmers. Many of the things that they are told to do, they are not learned, like the barrister stressed it also the other time, they are not learned enough, and then they can't even do some of these things. And these are the requirements that are being asked of these people before they can be lent money by financial institutions. So of course I don't really know much about it. I've not spoken to anyone in any financial institution, but I'm just talking as the man on the field with the farmers always complaining. So if there is a way the financial institutions, both private and government, can help to reach out to farmers, some of them are hold already. For example, in the year that I'm working in this state, only few, I'm not sure there's any local government in Osun State that the government has given our farmers a tractor. Most of the ones they have are just private owners, and the ones I've seen are even old already. So most of them, when they want to work on their farms, they use their hands. And for the last time I was at a neighboring state, and the man was telling me that he is a retired civil servant, and he showed me his plant, what's it called? His farm. I was telling me a lot of problems he's facing, despite the fact that he's educated at least to an extent, but funds is not available for them, and they are the ones on the farm that are actually practicing. So if there is a way they can come down to the level of the farmers to know, okay, this person has this land, this person has this person has this. How can we help you? Because most of the times when I go to them, they are always thinking I brought thousands or millions of naira to them to fund them, whereas I'm just there to educate them on best practices and all that. So if there's a way the financial institutions can come down to the level of our local farmers, I would really appreciate that. And then Mr. Kialabi mentioned something about agricultural tech-ops. It's something that's actually been on my mind. I graduated just last year from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, from Agricultural and Environmental Engineering Department. And in my final year, I listened to a lot of entrepreneurship programs, and they were talking about, okay, people should, what you need to set up a business as an entrepreneur is an idea. You look at your environment, do this and that. And since then, I've been doing a lot of feasibility study around which problem do we have in this area? Because people are always asking that. When we asked there was a meeting I attended, and then we were asking them that where are we going to see money to start business? They said they don't give money. That we should look at our environment, that there's problem there, that they are going to, that's where we see. Every day when I go out, I'll just look at problem is here, for God's sake. Where will I see money to start business? So over time, I would say my eyes got opened to, okay, I now notice that there's actually a problem here, right? So, but what I want to talk about on this point is the tech hubs. For example, in Akure, when I was in school, there's a tech hub around somewhere we call Southgate at Futa, where a lot of tech guys come together. And I've read the story of Flutterwave too, another tech hub companies, where they bring ideas together to solve problems using technology. But I don't know if the government, whether public or private, can set up something like that. For example, in Osun State here, I've worked also with AFAN, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, and they were telling me one time that they have an average of 400,000 farmers in Osun State. But despite the fact that they have that, a lot of problems the state is facing a lot of problems in agriculture, where if young minds can come together to solve these problems, I believe it will go a long way. And the last thing I want to talk about is, so I want to ask from that is it possible, can there be something like that in this country? Because most of the investors are looking at what they will get a return on investment in the next 6 months, in the next 3 months. But why not invest in a hub where you invest in young people that will solve the problems that will, at the long run, you'll be able to make millions and millions from whatever idea and whatever solution they provide. And the last thing I want to talk about is, in school, I came up with business. I had a business idea after I had checked my environment for a long time. So I noticed that a lot of companies in Akure, a lot of companies produce bread. Right? I'm saying this because the moderator said we can mention our business ideas. Now, a lot of companies produce bread. But during that time, when I did the feasibility study, there was no company at the time, I don't know if there is now, that produces big flour. I mean, there's something we call akara, that a lot of people, and yes, a lot of people eat akara, but most of the farmers, most of the people that make akara or moi moi, most of them buy beans, grind it, because I went out to meet some of these people. So why can't we have a firm or a company that produces, when it is in powdery form, it makes it black. So we want to make it in such a way that this shaft will not be part of the product. To mention about a lot of things that we came up with the product, that okay, if we can do it like this, a lot of bakery are in the States, but there is no beans production company, bean flour production company. So we use the stress of the people and to do a lot. Okay, let's do this. We worked on it at the time, but since that time till now, I would say I've been on the lookout. That was why when I saw Baay Agro, I jumped at it. That okay, let me just come up on the platform and then let's talk. That okay, what exactly do you advise young? Now that I'm in Osho State, I've started doing feasibility studies too on problems that a lot of farmers face in agriculture. What advice would you give to young prospective who have ideas, who want to solve problems, but we don't even know where to start from? I've never even approached any financial institution for once, because I don't know what to tell them when I get there. So what would you advise that we should do as young people who are passionate about solving problems in?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogo. Thank you very much for your questions. Thanks for your contribution. And before we throw it open for other people to add their own feedback on it, I just need to address that point of tech hubs. I'm aware that we currently have a lot of tech hubs in Nigeria, and some are actually affiliated to academic institutions. I work with BOI, as I mentioned, and I'm personally aware that we have over 10 tech hubs spread out across all the regions in Nigeria. So there is most definitely a tech hub close to you, and there are even other tech hubs that are not even BOI affiliated. So the question is just going online and finding out where these tech hubs are. And I would even dare to say that a lot of private investors are like, there's a lot that they are doing to even promote and to keep places like this functional, right? Places where people can come together, incubate an idea. So these things are in existence. Then you mentioned or you asked for advice as a young entrepreneur that has a problem or there's something that you want to solve. Generally, I would just attempt to answer the question, and then other people would also pitch in. I would say that no one funds an idea. No one funds an idea. Even if you have something, you have to show potential investors and potential partners that you've started doing something. And so even if you have an idea, you have this grand idea that will bring billions of dollars. If you go to a financial institution based on idea alone, nobody is going to answer you. You have to put in your equity capital. You have to put in, you need to have your own skin in the game, and then you then begin to scale. A financial institution will come in to help you scale. They will not necessarily give you equity capital to start your business. They will help you scale, right? So that's just my own mini contribution. Before we open the floor to more questions, I also want to say that please follow Baay Agro on all our social media platforms. Some of it, we put links to that in the group chat. And now the floor is open to contributions from everybody. Mr. Alabi, Mr. Tade, Mr. Saeed. Everyone, please let us feel free to answer these questions and to pitch in. Is there any other question that anyone asked?
Right.
Okay, let me just go through the. Sorry, my apologies. Let me just go through the chat to make sure I don't miss anything. In terms of the presentation materials, Mr. Daniel Emmanuel, that will be circulated to everyone that registered after the call. If you're interested in a partnership with Baay Agro, please send an email to admindex@bayagro.com. Madam Olushade Taiwo says that she needs Mr. Emmanuel Ojo's contact. So please, Mr. Emmanuel, make that available, send her a message and all of that. Mr. Ojo, please also send a message to Baay Agro's WhatsApp number. The floor is now open for contribution. Thank you very much. And other questions?
I put on my legal cap and not lambast the financial institution more again this afternoon now. But then, when I was having a go at them, it was the money. So it means they had the morning session of me bashing them. I might still have to do that for an afternoon session. I don't know yet. So Mr. Emmanuel, when it comes to your ideas, I always
Sorry
tell...
to interject. Sorry, I'm so sorry to interject, but we are... I mean, we've already taken more time than we initially budgeted, so we'd like to apologize to everyone for overshooting the 12 p.m. time. So for this section on contributions from anyone that's interested in taking, you have just 1 minute. So thank you very much. So you don't overshoot on.
Right, so anyone that has an idea, the first thing you should do is to protect your intellectual property rights. Have it registered before you even chip it to anybody, to even your brother or your sister. Have it protected. Get a lawyer to protect it, so that if anyone infringes on your intellectual property right, you can sue them for all they're worth. That's the first thing. Before you even go and ask for finances. I did say I wasn't going to lambast the financial institutions, but then I'll chip something in. Phoebe mentioned something about you must invest in your idea before any bank can fund it. This is what I'll say. After registering your intellectual property in that idea, then look for research institutes that might be interested. Research institutes normally have funding. You can partner with them. I mean, 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. But with the intellectual property rights, you can always make money from your IP. So you go in there as a limited liability company that you, Mr. Ojo Emmanuel, owns the intellectual property rights of this thing. I'm lending it to my company, Ojo Ventures Limited. It's a separate legal entity. Ojo Emmanuel Limited is now going into partnership with the research institute to develop and market what I own. Ojo Limited will be collecting money. Mr. Ojo Emmanuel, the owner of the intellectual property, will be making money. The research institute will be making money on the basis of the joint venture you have with Ojo Emmanuel Limited or Ojo Ventures Limited. That's what you should do. I wouldn't give that advice without collecting money before, but I'm giving it to you for free just because Shegun has asked that I encourage people in the industry. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. That is very valuable. That's a very valuable advice. And even myself, I've gotten something with such institutions. That's one way to get. So thank you very much. Any other contributions? Mr. Tade, you mentioned that you wanted to say something as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you Barista's contribution earlier. In terms of okay, I was going to say it's extremely important that we educate ourselves. It's true that the small farmers may not have the required knowledge to structure their businesses well. I feel the responsibility is upon us to handhold them, teach them and show them the way to go. To be honest, as much as we say financial institutions don't support these people, I know for sure that BOI on its own financed not less than about 10,000 smallholder farmers to the tune of 6 billion naira. That was about, I think, 2020, 2021. And the agribusiness space, agro-processing space alone dropped about 8.2 billion naira in terms of financing. So I wouldn't want to make it the BOI versus the complaints about financial institutions session. But I just decided to chip that into it because as much as it's difficult to get into these financial institutions and get money out of it, I can tell you for sure that with BOI it's not as rigid as it might be because the bank itself is not looking looking to make profit off of you. It's a development finance institution. The main task is to grow the industrial sector of the country. So we have businesses financed from all sectors that you can think about. And in addition to what Madam Fee mentioned earlier, I know for sure that there's a tech hub in, I think, OAU.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, there's a tech hub in OAU. So that's even close to Mr. Ojo. Financed by BOI as well, managed by whatever department is to manage it.
Vetima or something?
Yeah. And I was also going to advise Mr. Ojo, for someone that intends to start a business, like he mentioned, I would say the business terrain in Nigeria, we have to say ourselves, is one that, in fact, it's unpredictable. So what I tell people now is that you shouldn't overlook the advantages of partnership. There have to be someone or two people that share your vision. Look at them, bring them together, sit down with them, draw your plan, and like they say, teamwork makes the dream work. So I think you can start from there and gradually you can begin to scale. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Saeed, this one is open for contributions, questions, anything, and we hope to round up in less than 5 minutes. Is there any other contribution? In the aspect of that, okay.
Okay, so I quickly have something to also add to Mr. Ojo and other startup agripreneurs here today. So I would say that I know that we've read quite numbers of books online saying that with an idea you can get funding. This is Nigeria, and let's be objective. An idea won't get to a fund here. So what you need to do first is have your idea. Now, Barrister said secure your idea, right? By having like a structure. Okay, so then Mr. Alabi said research more on your idea, right? And another thing that we add to that, then you form you get a team. When you've researched, you know the hands in it. You can't just, you see all these startups we talk about in the fintechs, all of them, they talk about co-founders because you can't just get all these things done by yourself. You know the partners you need on this particular journey. Then you know the research institute to work with. Then I would say that after that, then start looking at how you can start having money, be it family funding or you guys contribute, because no private investor or public or bank or financial institutions will fund a business idea with great team without cash flow as well. In Nigeria, I'm saying, right? So start having with naira, start having cash flow. If you can control your cash flow, your revenue, profit, and the expenditures, then you have some numbers to show to any private investor, funding our institutions. Then you can start setting out, put your numbers together, because you have to have all these things not in your head but on paper. Then set out to meet these people, and I'm sure that you're going to get something out of there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Grant opportunities are available, please. So start looking at them and all of that. Subscribe to platforms where you can do all of that, and have mentors as well that we listen to that can assist you with this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There's also one more person, Mr. Adedayo, read one. He says he has a question and contribution. So please, you can unmute your mic about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Balogun Adedayo, read one. I appreciate you for the contributions that I've been gaining from you all since morning. I've been listening quite attentively since morning. I've been jotting down many things that I've journaled. Though NJ, the coordinator of this program, Engineer Adegoke Shegun, is a good friend of mine, and we've talked about this agriculture, and it's the one that's really give me goosebumps and like an inspiration to me that you can do well in this sector. Though I'm a civil engineering too, but I've been practicing agriculture at least for 4 or 5 years. When we met, I told him the different difficulties I've been getting through this in agriculture, and we just discussed, and what he told me is that, see, no matter how, just start small. See, from starting small, then you get the experience, you get all what you need to grow bigger and bigger and to get to the stage that you intend to be.
Contributing.
So there's like 2 years before now, I've been doing my farming basically on maize and cassava farming on my 4 acres farmland. But I've not been successful with it because of we have different kind of situation on farm. Like what I want to do, like I always advise people here, like fellow farmers. Farming is different when you think about it or you're writing it down on paper, and when you get to that field. When you get to the field, you know the real. That's when you get the real experience and the real things that you want to know on farm. It's not that easy like that. It's not that easy. So, like when I get to the base field there, I was so inspired with what I saw there. With the kind of plan, I was like, wow, so some people can just plan this thing like this, and it's, at least you should still you can still see what they are saying on ground. Yeah, but like that time, if I could remember, I saw like about 200 acres of already cultivated cashew field. And it surprises me. Then I told myself, see, no matter what you do, that my cassava this thing too, I must at least do. Or even if this is one plot, let me be successful in that one plot.
Very important.
Yeah, I made up my mind that I planned like I will do like 5 acres. Let me try from that this season. So I started with my maize farming with the 4 acres. Though I was successful, let me say I'm successful with the planting, but I didn't give myself the proper planning from the beginning of what I wanted to do to the end, because I have marketing problem at the end of the day. All my condos, everything.
Sir, you mentioned.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
so you mentioned that you had a question. Wanted to know, can you get to the question part?
Okay, the question part of it now is that as a smallholder farmer, because I wanted to ask the question based on the difficulties I experienced this year. As a small size farmer, we're looking at the cost of farm inputs this season. The fertilizer, people are telling me, buy fertilizer, buy this. This thing is too costly for me to be using here. How much do I want to get here? Even I have problem with human resources, which is the labor. You will see this one today that this is okay. Do this one, like my guy director said. Do this one before you know it. Before they answer you, maybe like a month after, and you've given them money already. So you have the problem of that human resources, the labor issue, and the final is the market. Like what we said about Engineer Shegun, is he follows SDG so much, which is the zero hunger. We want to feed the nation as an agriculture, as a farmer. But still yet, you still be having marketing problem, because these people that wanted to buy from you to sell to people, they also want to take advantage of you as a farmer. So, and this thing is one of the things that usually give a lot of problem to most farmers, and they really want to stop doing what they are already doing. So if you can have any solution to all these things, at least I will appreciate. I'm ready to learn from you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The experienced agripreneurs and the companies answer this question.
Right. Okay. So, from my own little experience, you're right that the people you're thinking of marketing to, they want to take advantage of you. Been there, done that. I cuss them every day, especially those old women. I don't want to tell you my history, but everyone that I explained to said, "Welcome to the club." So we working. I'm working in conjunction with Baay Agro, and we're coming up with some things that will more or less eradicate all those issues. We cannot eradicate, unfortunately, the fertilizer thing because, like I mentioned earlier on, the government has given it to their cronies and they're going to run it as anti-competitive industry. So it's just going to be like cement. We're bound to the Philistines when it comes to that. Now, in terms of labor, one of my solutions, which I have offered, which, like I said, I'm working with Baay Agro to resolve, is to have a registered agency for that. A registered agency where all the people who want to work in the state in that sector as farm workers, as farm managers, they'll be registered. So if, for example, somebody works in Tade Farms and messed up and wants to come and work at Adedayo Farms, and you say, what experience do you have? You say, oh, I've worked at Tade Farms. Okay. Quickly put a gun through to Tade Farms. Somebody like so, don't take him more. This was what he did. You know he's burnt. So we will protect not only our own investment, but we know those we are bringing on board. Because number one problem we have, well, there are several number one problems we have, but equally important problem we have in agriculture is security. You don't know who is coming to your farm to come and do you harm. So you have to be very careful with that as well. In terms of you selling your product, I mentioned earlier on the issue of cooperatives, farm cooperatives. Different people come into a cooperative. You can find people who have people who say, for example, maize. The shell of the maize is a byproduct that is used for feed for some animals. You can sell that. The cone, after you've shelled the maize from this thing, is also a byproduct you can sell. So you can always have people who, your maize, you can sell it to the feeds, to those who have poultry. And you see, once you have this thing, a relationship with the poultry farm, you can also be taking their waste as manure for your own vegetables as well. Now, what happens in terms of pricing is what we call spot pricing. Now, it's like dollar or this thing. They say dollar today is 1,000 naira to $1. Tomorrow it might be 900 naira to $1. And that is how they price products, commodities too. So there's an aggregate of how much a ton of maize will be. Now, you have to make sure your maize is the quality they're looking for, dry maize, so that they can buy and they can weigh. You sell, you take your money, you reinvest your money. So when you go to a cooperative, you have different inputs. In the cooperative, you can know, oh, sorry, that person has a tractor. Oh, let me speak with the person that has a tractor to come and plow this thing. If you're in a cooperative, the difference is that you have access to what you need and you get it cheaper than someone outside who's not in the cooperative.
Thank you very, very much. It is obvious that personally, I have learned so much by being in this call. The value, it's a different thing to have the theory knowledge of something, and it's another to have the practical experience. So the value that I have gained from being on this call. It is really unparalleled. So thank you very much to everyone. I would encourage every attendee of this call to seek ways to engage and to continue this conversation even after this webinar. It is obvious that we've only scratched the surface of the issues surrounding agribusinesses in Nigeria, and there's still so much more that we can learn from each other. There's still so much more we can do. We still have, there's someone on this call that has information that you won't definitely need. So please, let's feel free to continue all these conversations even after the call. So I would hand over now to Mr. Shegun to just quickly round up for us and to give his vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Miss Phoebe. I mean, it's been a wonderful time out here with everyone. I would want to appreciate all Asandre that made this a possibility today, from the technical team to my colleagues here and there, to Miss Phoebe, the consult, the billionaire BOI, and to all my guests, because Miss Sasha Drew could not make it today because she was on the road, and she apologized for not being part of us today. I'm confident that moving forward, we have to host something like this again. She's going to join us as well. And to everyone that has joined us today, far and wide in the country, Nigeria and outside, thank you very much for making it a time with us. And we have our African Farmers Network group where we share ideas, where we discuss needs and access to markets, and all of these problems are actually discussed here. We have people from the market, we have people on the farm, we have people in the supply chain, we have people that are into exports, and we also have people in the finance institutions in the group. So if you are not part of the group, you can reach out to us on our Instagram page, give us your WhatsApp number. We're going to add it to the group. Whatever challenge you're having anywhere, you can actually come into assisting. Who knows who is in the group that's going to assist. So thank you very much once again, and safe out there. Nigeria is not safe. Please, everybody should be safe out there. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, sir.